My name's Casey McCoy. I'm a builder from the Chicagoland area. This is my 10th Brick World, biggest Brick World yet. So this is the biggest mock that I've ever done, and it's a medieval style building inspired by both artwork I found online and also travels that I've had. So visiting St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, the Church of Intercession in New York, the Basilica of National Shrine of Immaculate Conception in D.C., quite a mouthful. And then just my general love for the castle theme. Spent a lot of time growing up in like the classic castle forums, but never really built castle. So this is my first time going all in on that. The general vibe that I tried to get across is just like peaceful, wholesome. Some knights are returning back from war or a crusade, something like that. And they're returning back. So it incorporates the new Black Falcon figures that I got through Lug Bulk, and then also the new collectible minifig, the Bard or the Troubadour, and those are supposed to represent the monks. It took 7 weeks. It was supposed to be 6 weeks. Mistakes were made logistically in prepping for Brick World because I didn't have anything big and I wanted to do something big. And this is by far the biggest thing that I've done. So this is, I want to say 4 feet by 2.5 feet by something like 3.5 feet tall. And on a table, it's taller than me. I had to build it on the floor because I don't have a table at home that will accommodate this in any way. I would guess it's something in like the 50 to 100,000 piece count, probably. Nearly everything in my collection is empty now for a lot of drawers, but it took a lot of years of lug bulk to even get up to this quantity and a lot of Bricklink orders to get me across the finish line. I guess I'm most proud of the trees, to be honest. The trees are just kind of like an excuse to put around the landscape, I guess, what I really like to build. So I'm really happy with both that tree design that has the like dragon tails as branches. The one in the corner, little hurried, little rushed, but try to get across like a weeping willow vibe. Then you've also got the flex tube trees that are twisted and bent. What's interesting is what we did, we used, I say we because I had builders over here this past weekend helping me finish it. So Nick Jensen and Simon Liu. We used the sprues from the 3-prong leaf element to kind of tie the 5 flex tubes together that sit in the base of the 1x2 rounded plates. The deer, that's stolen. That's by Little John. So that's an excellent brick-built deer design, although the doe with the hinge plate is a new addition. And then my favorite tree at the top is the apple tree in the center. That's fairly simple. It uses the 6-prong leaf stem element with the 1x1 rounded bricks that has the leaf pin in it. And then all you do is fill a Travis brick with those and put the 3-prong leaves on top, and then it hopefully makes an organic looking tree shape. And I got to use some of the new like curved elements on the trunk too. So overall, very pleased with how it came out. I started with designing the doorway when I found some artwork online. So that walks in by half a brick. Every brick you descend backward. Uses a lot of the arch pieces at the top. There's something like 50 of those in this build in total. And then the stained glass. There's a pattern to it. Doesn't quite come across in effect, but there should be kind of like a crossbar in the center in the dark blue. And then there's transparent and light transparent blue mixed in. So yeah, I think it turned out really great. A lot of brick built animals, fun, peaceful, wholesome, a lot of foliage. Yeah, so I really like how it turned out. And I just got to figure out how to get it back home because it barely fit in one trip of the car. So.
And that's with you living nearby.
Yeah, so it's a 20-minute drive. It's the most nerve-wracking 20-minute drive I've ever had in my life. But luckily, it came all together pretty well. So it transports into 3 sections. So you can see at the base of the model, there's like a pretty significant seam that is not a, that's a defect, not a, or it's, what do they call that? It's a bug, not a feature, where just the natural variation in the bricks create that seam. But you can still see the seam. So the front third, it's more like 3/10 of the model comes off, and then the back 3/10 of the model with the beach also comes off. The very top of the module, those 3 towers, that comes off as well, and then kind of just box it from there. I should highlight, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything. So it took 7 weeks and probably like 120 to 150 hours of work, probably. But I couldn't do it without the help of Simon Liu and Nick Jensen, who came over weekend before, and they helped, specifically Simon, with the ocean. So I told him, I was just like, yeah, just lay down these tiles, whatever, it's fine. And he said, no, we can do better. Without telling me that, he just did it. So he made the nice wave pattern. There's some offset tiles that are standing on top of the plates. And then he also did the waterfall as well. And the cool thing about the waterfall is that it starts with 4 bricks across, but it ends with 6 bricks across. So Simon kind of like bent them out. There's not exactly full connections at times, and it illegally dumps out as 6 bricks. But yeah, the thing turned out really nice, I think. I hope it got some good feedback at Brickworld, so that's a big plus. So people enjoyed it. So
I like the hashtag wholesome content here. You know, not everything has to be a big battle.
yeah, exactly. I'm dubbing this. We're starting a movement. It's called the Monastery Bro. Castle Bros for too long have dominated the scene with like violence and aggression. So we're doing some nice G-rated monastery, secluded, reflective spiritual life. That's the goal with the model. So
I love it. So I know you mentioned the trees are some of your favorite, but obviously the monastery is an incredible architectural feat here. So take us through some of these kind of architectural features. You got these nice walkways all around here.
yeah, so I was looking for something to do. This was way back in January, and then of course I didn't start it till late April because I was building other things. The facade, the front facade of the building is directly copied off of more or less some artwork that I found online. And what I found interesting about the artwork is that the front facade of the building is symmetrical while the top part of it is asymmetrical. So I tried to replicate that in a few ways. So the back is also symmetrical, but then the sides are different. So on one side, it's kind of like a corridor with some outside hallways, while if you turn around to the complete other side of the model, it's kind of like a side corridor entrance. In my mind, there's maybe some gardens off camera where there's no building, where they do some like farming and things like that. There's a path that leads off into nowhere, kind of. But it still uses the same architectural features. So you notice that blue roof design that's seen in the blacksmith shop set, which is what I bought and convinced me to sell my soul and build in the castle genre. It uses that both on that side and the other side and some of the roofs as well. Using that was really fun, and it's very dynamic because you get to use blue, dark blue, and black. But then the actual castle facade, to try and avoid big, ugly gray wall syndrome, there's windows that dot most of the sides. I use the side that's being shown now to face away from the public because I think it's less interesting than the other side, where you have a lot of nice railing and repeated patterns that break up the monotony. But the actual construction of the walls themselves is 1 brick thick, and it's pretty simple pattern of there is no pattern, where you just have the 1x2 masonry bricks, the 1x1 rounded plates, and the 1x1 rounded bricks, and you kind of just dot them. You try to not put them in a perfect grid, offset them. I think there's a few light belay ingots in there as well. That adds some deteriorated value to the facade of the walls without getting too jumbled and lost. I mentioned the asymmetric part of the building, so that's more so what the top tower is, because I don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical. I think that's kind of bland and uninteresting. So one of them is like a bell tower with a nice flag that gets me above the maximum height record that I have for myself. The other was supposed to be kind of like more like an observatory, turned into more of a watchtower. And the other is like storage, I guess, because that's the last one I built. And I was like, I'm so sick of building belay walls. I'll never build one ever again. So that and dark gray walls too with the base. Or rock work. I'll never do that again. I need to go on sabbatical to a monastery and get some respite. So
Speaking of dark gray, how did you decide to build this on such a high base here? And was that super parts intensive in there?
yeah, so it's like roughly 1,000 1x4 dark belay parts that I needed that I did not have. And I was blessed on high it must have been something about the build, right, and its wholesome nature, that Lego screwed up my PAB order online, and then they sent me the same thing double for free. So that was amazing and a big help. Doesn't happen to everybody, although it did take like 3 months to get it. So the reason behind that more so is just for size, general size. I knew I wanted a cliff face, and you can't have a cliff face if you don't build it up a little bit, not unless you play with kind of like the tables at the display a little bit. So had a lot of trans light blue elements that I knew I wanted to do kind of like an ocean beach to some effect, and again, it kind of adds to the height and the grandeur a little bit, although it is way more parts intensive. Underneath the base is kind of like a lattice base module, so the main module where the actual monastery is. There's 4 towers on either side that then have connecting beams that run across north, south, east, west. The front module is a lot lighter because it didn't require as much support for all the weight that the main monastery has. The main monastery itself, in order to support the top module of the 3 asymmetrical towers, has 3 beams running north-south, I think, and then 2 running east-west. But this whole engineering stuff is totally beyond me. I had no idea if it was going to stay up or not. That was kind of like shot in the
You're
dark.
just throwing bricks down.
Exactly. And it was like too late in the game. This is like 2 weeks before the show to try and come up with anything else. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. It is a fantastic model, from the trees to the monastery to the water back there. I'm glad you got a couple of halfway decent builders with Nick and Simon to come in and do their best, at least try to help out.
You have to call the professionals. Yeah, I couldn't have done it without them, and we were able to squeeze in some fun like fried chicken diversions along with that. So.
I love it. Well, thanks for bringing this out. Congratulations on building bigger here and continuing to push yourself to build at a larger scale. I think this is a fantastic model. So thanks for taking us through this at the very end of the show here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for talking with me. And on to the bigger and better one, but still peaceful, still wholesome. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Sounds good. Monastery Bros.
Yes, Monastery Bros. Start the movement. Tell your friends.
Thanks.
Excellent.